Surprised if it didn't rain at some point in the next few minutes as well. But apart from that, everything's fine. So we are going to start 5 minutes later than advertised. And I'm in such a mess that I haven't got my laptop out, I haven't got anything out. Absolute shambles, Fletcher. Come on. Martin Emerson is with us. I've seen him. There is no escaping. And they're going off again. So they're going to bring the covers on, and this has been the shortest broadcast of my recent history. So what we will do is when it stops raining, we'll come back. I won't trouble Martin to say a few words because it's almost entirely pointless. I'll get him to save his major pieces of wit and wisdom for later on. But the umpires got to the middle. They've turned tail. They're going off. The covers are coming on. It is dark and the umbrellas are up. And we will be back at the county ground when it stops raining. Thanks very much. Incora County Ground for day 2 of Derbyshire's County Championship match against Durham. Starting around about 40 minutes late. We have lost a couple of overs. 10 past 11 official start time due to rain and bad light. It has brightened up a touch, but it's still fairly miserable out there. And Derbyshire, well, they were bowled out yesterday for 306 half centuries for Liz Deploy, Harry Kame and Anuj Dal. And now it's down to their bowlers to see what they can do. Now that John's finished, I can turn the effects microphone up a touch. So it'll be fascinating to see how Michael Jones and Sean Dixon get on in these conditions, which aren't ideal for batting, it's fair to say. Nick Cook's obviously cold, he's clapping his hands together. And it'll be Sam Connors to bowl the first over, unsurprisingly, from the racecourse. And Martin Emerson's with us. Gloomy, Martin.
Yeah, very. It's a spooky, murky kind of day, isn't it? Anyway, there's got to be absolutely cracking bowling conditions, these.
Yeah, very much like yesterday morning.
Well, these are better, I think.
I think they are probably better.
We didn't have the lights on yesterday, did we? So.
Not till the afternoon, bizarrely. Anyway, Connors is in and bowls to Judge, who pushes this one out into the offside. It's fielded by Godalman, and we're up and running. At least we're going to see some play today.
I'll get it in now. And in his last match for Durham in the County Championship, Jones got his highest score, 206 against Middlesex. That was in July this year, 39 days ago.
That was this season, wasn't it?
Yeah.
July. Is that this season? I think it was.
Yeah. Is it a leap year or not?
I'm sure we started a new campaign.
Yeah.
Perhaps they should do that. Here's Connors again, 4 slips. Balls to Jones, who edges this one into the ground. And it's fielded at second slip by Wayne Madsen. It's quite the heavyweight slip cordon there with Ben Aitchison at first slip, Wayne Madsen at second, Liz Deploy at third, and Mark Watt at fourth slip. Harry Kame is as close to the pitch as he's ever likely to get at mid-wicket. There's a long leg as well. I assume that that's Nick Potts down in the distance. Anuj Dal at backward point, Billy Godalman at mid-off, and Lewis Rees at mid-on as Connors is in again, and that one is pushed out to Anuj Dal. Again, there's no run, and it will be Ben Aitchison who'll start at the city end. He's going through his bowling action. This feels like it's Ben Aitchison's kind of weather. Bowled beautifully down at New Road on his return. He is a very fine cricketer. And if he can stay injury-free, the boy has a future. No question about it. There's Connors in again. Past umpire Cook. Bowls and slightly away from his body. Jones plays that down into the gully region. Yesterday morning, Durham picked up a wicket in each of the first 2 overs. As Billy Godalman and Lewis Rees were dismissed, and they were 6 for 2. Bit of a mess at that point. Wicket apiece for Rushworth and Rain, and they were 31 for 3 and 58 for 4 before eventually making 306. No small part to deploy in Kame. As Connors is in again and bowls, and he cuts this away nicely for 4 runs, does Jones. That's a nice shot. Just leant back and put everything into that one. Races away to the cover boundary for 4 runs. Anuj can do no more than retrieve the ball from the advertising boards in front of the players' pavilion. The good news is that there's nobody from the ground staff sitting on the tractor. That's always a bad sign when somebody sits on the tractor. I just think anyway. 4 without loss. The ball is now being dried. Still gloomy across the way at Trent Bridge, where bad light has meant that there's a delay to the match. They have been out there, but they've gone off. 48 without loss knots in their second innings. This one strikes the pad of Jones. Dribbles out into the offside. It's the end of the first over. 4 from it, 4 without loss. Durham, all of those runs to Jones, who's faced every delivery so far.
The brightest of the conditions are now drifting around the southeast of us, and lots of heavy murk coming across from the west again. There was an incredible thunderstorm last night. I was just going to bed. I was on the phone to my wife, and I thought, what on earth is that lorry doing making such a noise outside? And when I looked out the window, it was thunder and lightning. Here's the boy, Ash Thorpe.
Oh, yeah.
You were in Worcester yesterday, weren't you? Yeah. Had a good day?
Yes, very good.
I thought the heavies had come in.
Yes.
It was like a big shadow looming behind us.
You're not on the list, mate. You're not coming in. So
Security's not very good in this press box, is it?
no, anybody can just walk in here. Watching England under 19s yesterday, wasn't it? Yeah. A couple of the Durham lads were playing. Any Derbyshire lads in it?
No.
No.
But thanks for pointing that out, Martin.
Right. I thought I'd ask for balance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's Aitchison right arm over, bowling to Sean Dixon, who plays this one out into the covers. Weather-wise, after the thunderstorm last night, this reminds me, and you remember this obviously, Dave, of the cup final between Durham and Warwickshire at Lord's in 2014. It was a really misty...
Why would I remember that?
Well, of course you wouldn't. Really eerie, misty day like this with the floodlights on and really strange atmosphere. Aitchison in again, that's left alone, gone through to the keeper. He tucks the ball tight in under his chin as he's coming into ball. Durham did win that one. It was a low-scoring epic.
An epic.
Yeah. There's a few punters in the stand at the far end of the ground, but those with any sense have gone under the little shelter in the corner.
They were scurrying at one point.
They were, from the verb to scurry. Aitchison in, that stayed low. And we saw a bit of this yesterday from the City end. Balls pitching, particularly from Ollie Gibson, outside the line of off stump and skipping through low. Meanwhile, the umpire's not happy with the stumps at the non-striker's end, and they've been rearranged with the help of Michael Jones's bat handle.
Old school. Just use the back of the bat. Don't use the front of it. Use the back of it. No, no.
Aitchison in, and that is left alone. So Dixon was on fire earlier in the year. He was scoring runs for fun. First Durham player to get 3 centuries in 3 consecutive innings. Got 100 in the second innings at Sussex, and then 1 in each innings at Worcester. And then, while he was flying, he suffered a nasty hamstring injury and missed quite a sizable chunk of the season. Returned in the middle of the one-day cup. As Aitchison comes in, right arm over and bowls. That's driven by Dixon. It's a thick edge, goes low, wide of the slip cordon, down to the vacant third man. So I would say the pub's open for business, but we can't afford the electricity bill anymore
Well, the
now.
third man's been pretty vacant the entire match, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Both sides have attacked.
Yeah.
You can't have 4 slips and a third man. Slip cordon changed slightly because obviously Ben Aitchison can't field at first slip to his own bowling. So Mark Watt's gone to first slip. And Harry Kame's come in at 4th slip. So I said he wouldn't get much closer to the pitch, and he has got much closer to the pitch. He's normally out on the mid-wicket boundary, Harry Kame.
Bowler comes in again. That's defended. Was that the first run of the match, was it, of the innings?
No, because Jones has got
Yeah.
4 in the first innings.
So the scoreboard's stuck on 4. I thought Jones had got a 4 as well.
Yeah. You'll have seen it probably.
Yeah, it went
because
through there, didn't
went
it?
over
Yeah.
there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the scoreboard's,
Scoreboard's
already
sticky
gone wrong,
again.
which is a good effort in the second over.
It's got a sticky button already.
So 4 off each of the first 2 overs.
Yeah.
Would you believe it? Yeah, so it's bad light at Cardiff, it's bad light at Trent Bridge. It's raining in Southampton, where it rained most of yesterday. Bad light at Old Trafford.
There's actually, Dave, a tiny sliver of blue sky.
Well, I think I'm going to have to take my thick hoodie off in a minute.
Yes. Do you need to be welded out of it or not?
Here's Sam Connors beginning the 3rd over. His second, he's in and bowls. Oh, there's a play and a miss. That was a slightly extravagant drive from Michael Jones. Could easily have. Mind you, if he'd have nicked it, it probably would have flown away because he went hard at that one.
I was pointing out about the delay and the weather and how gloomy it was, and Away Man says it is autumnal. It was absolutely gorgeous here yesterday. Proper shorts and T-shirt weather. And in fact, I've come in shorts today because it's still
Yeah,
suggesting it's going to be about 23 degrees later.
too hot.
Yeah.
Jones waits. Connors bowls Jim, and he's beaten him again. They've got to work on the ball. The Derbyshire bowlers. Well, Lewis Rees, who's the main polisher.
I went along to a local supermarket just to get some bottles of water earlier, and it was really gloomy in their car park. So I thought, I can't imagine them starting on time here, even with the floodlights on. Went downstairs.
They wouldn't play in the car park anyway,
No,
would they?
not next to the petrol pumps. They wouldn't.
No.
No. Although you could use this end of a petrol pump as the stumps.
You could.
Yeah.
Connors bowls, and he's pulled this one for 4 out towards the covers. That's the covers that cover the pitch. It actually goes to square leg. And Nick Potts has to retrieve it, and it'll take some drying as well. And obviously, the whole reason that delivery went wrong was something to do with the foot mark. So Lewis Rees is having to take some of the green sawdust and put it on the front foot mark.
Thinking about it, if you had a petrol station with 3 rows of pumps,
Yeah.
right, and you used the middle as the stumps at either end, and then the other pumps could be fielders.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
That would be like your 30-yard mark.
And they have
around.
quite good lights in there as
Yeah,
well.
they
So
do,
they probably
yeah.
could have carried on.
Yeah.
Connors is in and bowled and not on his toes is Jones, pushing that one out to the onside.
I mean, if it's one of these super-duper high-tech garages, the players could just tap in at the pump and announce themselves. You wouldn't need the PA system. You know, like you can pay at the pump.
That would be a definite positive.
Yeah.
Lots of drying of the ball, unsurprisingly. They've done well to get 4 balls to the boundary because the outfield will have slowed down considerably. It's almost too bright now. As Connors is in and bowls, that one takes off. Jones just drops his hands, allows it to go through to Brooke Guest behind the stumps. 12 without loss in the 3rd over. We lost 2 overs, even though we started 40 minutes late, which means we won't finish until about 9:30. We'll definitely need the lights then.
Be on the milk train home.
Definitely need the lights then.
Well, 2 overs lost today. They'll claim 6 back tomorrow. So depends which weather app you look at. It's Armageddon this morning. There's nothing happening, or it's Armageddon this afternoon.
Or there's nothing happening.
Yeah.
We'll be fine. Either way, we'll be fine. I've got to do a thing at 11:30. I'm not here. Here's Connors again. Bowls. That will go straight through Jones. That was a good delivery from Connors to finish off his 2nd over. 2 overs for 8. And Durham after 3, with Jones on 8 and Dixon on 4. A 12 without loss.
Anyway, I got here this morning and I looked at it and I had the floodlights on and it was murky even with them on, and I used the light meter app I have on my phone, which is generally quite close to what the umpires might use, and when it gets to around 300 lux on the light meter, that is normally when they go off on the day's play, and it was hovering between 270 and 300.
I think that's on the cusp. I don't know what
Yes.
you think.
Yes. It's in, and that thumps into Dixon's thigh pad. The downward part of the cusp, the upward part, or the curvy bit at the top?
I don't know. Well, I don't think you know if it's going up or down on a cusp.
Do you know?
No. The sun is now shining off the cars, remarkably.
It does look really manky to the right of us, though, to the west, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Hitchison in City End. Dixon turns that one round the corner, down to fine leg for 1 run. So anyway, I just thought, in polite conversation, I would just explain to Mr. Fletcher and Mr. Griffin that the light meter suggested things were a little bit iffy, and just dog's abuse followed. Unbelievable.
Unsurprisingly. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Unsurprisingly.
Anyway, they didn't start on time, and then it rained. So I think
Well, they didn't start on time because it rained.
Yeah, but I think the bad light was linked to the really dark clouds that were in the
Well,
sky.
it probably was, but
Yeah.
it was the rain that stopped them from starting on time.
As well as the bad light.
Nothing to do with the bad light.
Anyway, at the minute, the really thick, heavy stuff has drifted by, and the cloud is breaking up just to the south of us, and it looks a bit brighter. Aitchison in. Playing a miss or playing a leave there by Jones. Recently been playing in a one-day series ICC competition against the United States and the United Arab Emirates for Scotland, and was called up for a T20 international against New Zealand as well.
He won't want to be caught at first slip, will he?
No. This is defended. Goes out towards mid-off. First slip is his Scottish teammate, Mr. Watt.
What? Yeah.
So you've got Madsen at second, slip deploy at third, and then fourth slip is Harry Kane. And two of the slips have got dark towels hanging out the back of their whites, look like beer mats. Aitchison in. Oh, inside edge onto the thigh pad and down towards Kane at fourth slip along the floor. What you got to do at 11:30?
It's 27 minutes past, actually.
Was it?
Yeah. I'm teaching Ian Sky, our mid-morning presenter, all cricketing terms. I'm running out of them.
Aitchison in, that's gone down the leg side. They're appealing. Well, the bowler's not joined in at all. There was a catch it from the slip cordon, and basically Deploy was the only one who really went up and appealed. The bowler wasn't even interested. It looked like it glanced the thigh pad on its way through.
So I'm going. You enjoy yourself.
All right, is that it then? Well, thanks for popping in.
So I've got another couple of minutes, I think.
Right.
Sadly for everybody.
You see the shape of the roof of the gym over there,
Yeah.
which I've mentioned before. If I was a skateboarder, it looks like it'd be a lovely surface to skateboard on. That, to me, is the shape of a cusp.
The top bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're sort of on a rounded top and it can go downhill either direction.
I've got a bone to pick with not Fred Titmus. I wasn't frantically Googling anything. I was Googling whether anybody else other than Phil Collins had performed at Live Aid both in the UK and the United States. In comes Sam Connors to begin a new over, and it's fended off by Sean Dixon into the leg side. 14 without losses to go through for a single. But good to have you along, not Fred.
Fred needs to get out more, I reckon. He's obviously at a loss when Middlesex aren't playing.
Well, it's madness that they're not playing, really, isn't it? But I'm going to teach him a lolly. Do you call easy catches lolly?
Pies?
Lolly. A pie is a poor delivery, isn't it?
No, well,
Next delivery is driven nicely by Jones for 4 runs, I think. I think it's going to have the legs to get there. Alice Dahl's chasing, but the ball gets to the boundary now, and Jones moves on to 12 for 18 without loss.
I would class a simple drop catch as a pot pie. And I've seen plenty of them in the one-day cup this year. Lads were complaining the sky was too bright. The cloudless sky was difficult to pick the white ball up in.
I don't know what to go with here, and I've only got about a minute and a half to...
So why don't you go with timed out today?
Timed out? Well, I like that.
Wasn't there the story of the batsman who ended up going down into the basement at Lord's and went through a door that locked behind him?
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, I've got to go.
Right. Connors from the racecourse end, and that's a thick edge from Jones, but it was aerial, low, but well wide of the slip corner. It was a half volley outside of off stump, and he's steered that up to vacant third man to the old pavilion for 4. It's going to be interesting listening to one ear across what he's saying on this thing. .22 for non-Durham. So a better start than Derbyshire yesterday because they were 2 down inside the first 11 deliveries. They were a wicket down for 4 runs, second ball of the game. And had both openers gone by 11 balls in, they were 6 for 2. This is a lovely cover drive from Jones right out the middle of the bat. And that races to the boundary for 4. That one just set up nicely for him. Another half volley from the bowling of Connors. So Michael Jones now 24. This is only his 21st first-class game. And he has got 20 runs to his name today. 26 for non-Durham. So he needs another 13 to reach 1,000 in first-class cricket. Oh, that's gone right through him. And he's turned around there. His front foot, what should have been his front foot, was behind him. And he's ended up sort of turned in a semicircle from that delivery, which nipped back between bat and pad and through to the keeper. Jones went into this game with 524 runs this year with an average of 43, and that highest score, as I mentioned, 206 against Middlesex in the last match in July. His previous best had been 108 against Leicestershire this year. He leaves this one well wide of off stump. That's through into the keeper's gloves. Sean Dixon's top score was a huge innings for Kent at Beckenham when he made 318 against Northants in 2017. It is like a road at Beckenham, and it's a fast outfield there as well. It was the second highest score for a Kent batsman. And he shared a second wicket stand at the time with Joe Denley of 382. His highest score for Durham, 186 against Sussex, away this year in the second innings. As he faces this ball from Aitchison, it's a rising delivery which he looks to uppercut and plays and misses from the City end. In the second innings at Sussex, he put on an opening stand with Alex Lees of 313. It was one short of Durham's opening record, which was against Nottinghamshire in 2009, Michael Di Venuto, when they won the title there. That one's left alone. And I think, was it Kyle Coates that was the other one? Derek and his daughter Ellie are continuing their walk from Edinburgh down to Northumberland. As Dixon fends this away. He said it's been pretty bad in the storms today, but all is calm at the moment. They're walking along the beach at the moment. .26 for non-Durham. Aitchison in. Dixon defends. Ball goes back to the bowler. There were 14 members of the Durham supporters club who came down on a coach yesterday morning. Bumped into a couple of them around the ground. And one or two others have made the journey here as well. I know there were a few planning to be here today who weren't here yesterday. Aitchison to Dixon. It's a Yorker, but it's wide of off stump. Dixon plays it into the floor and out through the covers for 2.
He enjoyed that. Timed out. Did he? Yeah.
Did I get any recognition on it?
No, not at all.
He stole my material again.
Yeah. Again? I've avoided your material for a long time.
Yeah. So he was sort of pleasantly taken aback and surprised to hear it, was he?
Yes, he enjoyed that. He's still waiting for a googly. I thought we'd done googly. I think that's too difficult to explain, really, because if he doesn't know what an off break is, or a leg break, googly is going to be almost impossible. I missed anything?
No. Aitchison in. This is defended by Dixon. It is quite bright out there.
It's too
at the
bright
moment
and the
now,
shadows
isn't
and
it? Yeah.
everything.
I'm thinking of sticking my sunglasses on for a bit. There's quite a bit of glare there now.
It is bright.
It's funny Midlands weather. End of the over. 28 for none.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd probably agree with you there. Being from the northwest, the weather is very dependable. You know it's going to rain.
Yeah. Has it been day today, Dave?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Tuesday. Yeah.
Anyone got the weenie bin out on your behalf?
I'm hoping so.
Yeah.
They didn't empty my paper bin last week.
Oh.
I nearly chased down the road after them and then thought, you're an old man. That would look undignified. So I didn't bother.
Picking on the old man driving the lorry.
Mm.
Yeah.
Some Connors from the race course end, looking for the first breakthrough here. Derbyshire 28 without loss. Durham, and they're not going to get one there, as Jones, not for the first time, drives handsomely out to the backward point boundary for 4 runs and moves on to 24 not out. And Durham up to 32. He's now hit 6 boundaries, and they account for all of his runs. Nice. Really nice, I would suggest.
I think the radar doesn't look too bad for the rest of the day now. Met officers saying sunny spells and scattered showers is the name of the game for Tuesday afternoon.
And they don't know where those showers are going to hit.
They look mostly to the north of us.
All right.
Around about your wheelie bin.
Yeah.
The bin's going to get wet.
Yeah. Unsurprisingly. Here's Connors again, having been hit for 4 from the first ball of his 4th over. Bowls to Jones, goes back into his crease and dabs it down to Dahl at backward point. Yeah, it's one of those days that very irritating because the sun will shine off the windows of the cars in the car park all day today if it stays sunny. You just can't help but look at them and then you can't see anything else.
Occasionally at Durham, and certainly I remember at Canterbury, the stewards have gone into the car park with sheets and picnic blankets and put them over the cars.
Yeah. They're sort of out round the corner from the players as Connors bowls a full delivery outside the off stump and he goes for the shot, Jones.
You'll not remember our porter cabin at Durham. You were never in that.
No, I've only been in the palatial schoolroom that you can't get out of when they dump unwanted computers in there.
Yeah. Well, we used to be in this porter cabin in the corner of the ground at a slight angle, but on a hot day, you used to open the vented windows and then the players would complain that the sun was reflecting off them and you'd have to shut them. And it used to get rather hot in there.
Next delivery takes a leading edge and goes down a 3rd man for 4 runs.
It's off the back of the bat, that wasn't it?
Yeah, he was trying to turn it into the leg side. Jones has picked up another boundary, his 7th, moves on to 28, Durham to 36 without loss.
They all count.
Well, they do. It doesn't say outside edge or leading edge in the scorebook. See, I would agree with Mark there. It's a sitter or a dolly, not a lolly. That's Americans for you, though. You've got to be careful which websites you look on. I did like the Andrew Harris. Andrew Harris was timed out playing for. He'd have played for Notts, wouldn't he? Against Durham UC, whatever they were, MCCU or whatever they were. And he was timed out because he had a groin strain and couldn't get out in the 3 minutes because he was hobbling that much. It goes Connors and bowls and it goes past the edge of the bat. Does it take the edge of the bat now? Well, the slips thought it might have done. Connors wasn't convinced at all. He turned around and raised his arms in a derisory manner. And therefore he is not out. Yeah, that's a bit harsh, that, isn't it? You've got a groin strain and you hobble out to the middle and the umpires then say you've taken more than 3 minutes, mate. Off you go.
Mm-hmm. It's a bit unfair, really, isn't it?
Very harsh.
Should he have been hobbling out with a groin strain in a pre-season friendly anyway?
No, not really. Yeah. Next delivery is defended and pushed to backward point by Jones. And there's no run, so 36 without loss at the end of that over. A couple of boundaries in there. Connors continues to be slightly expensive. He's a wicket taker, but he does go for a few, and he has. In 4 overs, he's gone for 29, whereas Ben Aitchison's conceded just the 7 off his first 3.
An email from Anth Graham. He says, Dear Marty and Fletch, it's my first day at Derbyshire yesterday, or it was, and in fact the first season following county cricket properly.
No, good man.
Having become so bored of hearing about it being the root cause of all of England's woes, I thought I'd better pay it some attention to see what all the fuss was about. I'm a Chesley Street lad, as Aitchison comes in, from the city end and bowls to Dixon. This is played to point, no run there. Now living in South Sheffield, but with a job that takes me all over the place. So I've had opportunity to watch plenty of cricket at the Riverside this year, including the famous only victory of the county season against Glamorgan.
Excellent.
Through to yet another near win versus Sussex in the one-day cup. Closer to home, I've taken a pretty large shine to a local team. Something's put the batsman off here as the bowler was running in. So they have to go through it all again.
No idea what it could have been.
And he said, not as you might expect Yorkshire, with living in South Yorkshire, but the one and only Derbyshire.
Quite
become my little side.
Little?
Yeah.
Whoa. Oh, hang on a minute.
This is thanks to two things. Aitchison's ready to come in eventually. Still three
was ready before.
in place. Balls to Dixon. Dixon defends. Number one.
Yeah,
Having Chesterfield on the doorstep,
of course.
where I've watched 3 matches this year at the splendid Queen's Park, including the scary one-day cup match against Yorkshire, and 2, the brilliantly wry, warm and short shrift commentary, oh God, of Fletcher. I should have read along that line.
You should. I don't read praise out, you see.
Oh. In comes the bowler.
That sounds like your phone.
Yeah. That is my phone. It's the newsroom ringing me. I'll have to text them back.
Don't ring me. Can you text the newsroom? Or somebody
well,
in it? You knew who it was?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's very good. What was the gentleman's name? Sorry, I missed it.
This is only part of the email. I'm going to have to scan. It's Anth Graham.
Thank you. You're very kind. I just object slightly to the little. Why was the game against Yorkshire scary?
That's come through to the keeper.
I don't recall it being too scary. I don't recall being scared at a cricket match at all, really, in recent times. There was a little bit of unpleasantness at the end of the T20 match, I think it was, between Yorkshire and Derbyshire. Right in front of the executive tent.
He just said bowls. Edged. Oh, dropped. Did that carry him? I think it did, you know.
It was close. If it didn't,
Yeah.
Lewis deploy.
I think it was. He was at full stretch. He was going down just as the ball was starting to dip there. I think he was in the hand and out.
On 8. Yeah, it was certainly very close. If it didn't carry all the way to Leah's deploy,
Oh, it bounced just in front.
did it?
Yeah.
Cross
Bounced
that
just
out.
in front. Yeah, cross that out. Bounced
Cross
just in
that
front
out.
of Madson's knee, and deploy stopped it. That's driven. That is out through the covers and away towards the boundary of the hotel side of the ground. The outfield's slow after the rain. Didn't quite get there. 2 runs. Right, that's the end of the over. So 36 for none. Right.
Anyway, get on with this email
sorry, yeah.
praising me, would you?
Yeah, right.
Thank you.
So he says, the pair of you have really helped me navigate my first foray into the county season. I'll flip between Durham and Derbyshire commentaries when I'm on the road,
See
depending
a
on
very
what's
big difference between the two, isn't it?
depending on what's happening in whichever match, and learn a lot about the opposition from your co-commentators. But the reason I stick with it is that your own commentaries are occasionally superb and always informative. I haven't written this, Dave.
Occasionally
Yes.
superb.
Yes.
What's the definition of occasionally? Like once a year? Once a millennium? Well, occasionally. Anyway, go on.
says-
I'm enjoying it.
You can make for interesting listening when there's nothing really happening on the pitch, which certainly can't be said of a lot of your peers, including some of the Test match special
Yeah, well,
teams.
no names, please.
No.
No.
He hasn't named anyone.
Good.
Um,
I mean, I've got a list here, but I don't want anybody to name any names because
No.
it might be libelous.
Yeah.
Nick Potts is coming on. Sam Connor's 4 overs for 29, a little expensive.
Am I on that list?
I can't tell you. Potts is in and bowls to, yes, Jones, and that's dabbed down into the leg side. There's no run. I forgot what the list is, actually. I just say things for comic effect most of the time and then almost immediately forget what I've said. He's still scanning it.
Yeah.
Oh dear, it's a long one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It said it started with, this is a long email.
Oh, okay.
I've lost my spot now.
I'm slightly disappointed he didn't send it to me as well, but
You never give out an email address.
fletchcricket@gmail.com. Everybody knows that. Well, apart from Ant, obviously. Potts is in again. It just gets a little gloomier, and that's cut away into the ground and beyond Anuj Dal at backward point. He must have got something on it, though, because he hit it very hard, and it's raced away to within a yard of the boundary. The batsmen have come back for 3, and Jones moves on to 31, breaking that sequence of 7 successive boundaries to begin his innings, and Durham are up to 41 without loss already after just 8 overs and 2 balls.
There's apparently a life-saving element to the commentaries now.
Is there?
Yeah. He says, Marty's tangential anecdotes about all and sundry in the knowledge of lower league North East cricket are the perfect antidote to the frequently soporific hours of an afternoon's play.
Keeps you awake in the car.
Yes, exactly.
In goes Potts again. That one's turned into the leg side by Dixon for a single, fielded by Connors, 42 without loss.
People are going to start thinking we co-authored this, aren't they? He said, the antidote to the frequently soporific hours of an afternoon's play, which is quite handy in stopping me from nodding off at the wheel. Life-saving, some might say. Oh, now he's getting serious. Anyway, put your own trumpets away.
Well, it wasn't. I don't think we ever got the trumpets out. I think you're the trumpeter.
Mm-hmm. And he says, what an ace ground Derbyshire's is with all its little cobbled togetherness, providing a warm contrast to the behemoth white elephant that is the riverside.
Oof. And comes this next delivery from Potts, and Jones tries to cut it a bit close to him, gets an inside edge down into the ground.
I wouldn't describe the riverside as a white elephant.
No, I wouldn't. There's some blue bits in it, isn't there?
Yeah, and green. I particularly enjoyed seeing the destroyed sight screen and the demolition stand, and I sat in the temporary permanent stand with a great view of the action.
Well, it's the permanent temporary, but I'll let you off that. You've got to get those the right way around. Oh, the demolition stand, the only covered stand in the entire ground. It looks very much out of place, but
looks like it's from a Northern League football ground.
Yeah, a little cantilever roof on it, beautiful. The next delivery from Potts is dabbed into the ground by Jones and out into the offside. It does look like, very much Northern League, Northern Premier League, that kind of standard. It's a magnificent little. I think that's the side of the ground that they want to develop next. So I just hope that they pay homage to it. Whether or not they will, they'll probably take down the old scoreboard in which we used to commentate with its aromatic gentlemen's toilets underneath.
Lovely.
No.
On a nice summer's day.
Was a little bit grim. Potts is in and bowls. That one's cut away but not timed. Anuj Dal fields it and then drops it. So they scamper through for a single. Jones moves on to 32, 43. Without loss at the end of the first. Potts over. He conceded 5 runs from it.
He says...
Is he still going?
Yeah.
Blimey.
Chapter 3. He said, generally at county matches at Durham, you can't really hear what other folk are talking about because they could be at least 50 seats away.
And they're not supposed to speak with that strange accent as well, don't they, of course?
Whereas yesterday I almost turned round and applauded several conversations about small matters. Such as the 100, the ECB, Andrew Strauss's mission.
I imagine those conversations were similar to the ones that we have in the press box then.
And politics, he says.
I don't think they'll be particularly similar. There's the kissing of the hands going on later today, isn't there?
Is that what they do?
Apparently.
Was that a train horn, did we just hear?
It sounded like one, didn't it? Yeah, the station's a fair way away.
Yeah. Didn't think the track was as close as that.
Sort of over there.
Aitchison to Jones. This is played to short mid-wicket, no run there. He goes on. There's a bit about the riverside. He mentions Tim Wellock's book that he's reading about the history of Durham. He says, the one thing I really don't like about the race course, i.e. this ground, is the grim walk from the train station. Although I did spy the Brunswick on the way back, which should make things more tolerable in the future. That's the Real Ale pub, isn't it, on the end, where a lot of football fans go on a match day. Ball pushed into the ground hard here by Michael Jones towards point.
Do you often find that a lot more people know a lot more about Derby than I do? Because I'm not a Derby resident.
No.
And the first time I came to Derby was for the interview for this job.
There was an interview?
There was. 2000 and... Early 2016. Beat off some stiff competition.
Yeah. What, because the others were dead?
Yeah.
43 for none. He's gone out into the cover area, no run there.
All to do with the transparency of the BBC.
Yeah. And were you offered the job there and then?
No, I was offered it when I got home.
So you had that hour and a half of the unknown travelling up the M6.
Yeah. It wasn't until some months later that I realised other people had actually been interviewed for it, which surprised me a little bit.
Bowler comes in, turned towards square leg by Jones for one run. Still a little bit slippy out there across the edge of the square. Who's that who was fielding there?
Connors.
Connors just picked the ball up and just slipped slightly as he did so. He says, why is it the football ground is signposted at every turn, but there isn't a single mention of the cricket ground on the route, even on the maps, he says. Defended by Dixon on a length and off stump. There's plenty of those brown signs pointing towards the cricket ground, isn't there? With the ball and the...
I think it's in the stumps.
So if you come by, a road. Yeah. Anyway, he says, right, I'll shut up there. I'm now county cricket till I die, which hopefully won't be for another 30 years, when I'm sure the county cricket will be thriving in the format set in concrete. Yeah. You keep on dreaming.
Absolutely.
Aitchison in, Dixon forward to this one, plays it up towards Dahl, just to the right of point, one run, and over the over. So actually, despite the fact that it looked like really difficult batting conditions, Durham have had a decent start here.
They batted nicely, haven't they?
45 without loss
the bowling's
in 10
been
overs.
Massively threatening, yeah. A couple of deliveries have gone past the edge, but not many. Aitchison's been economical, as he always is, just 11 runs off his 5 overs.
One final addendum to this. He says, I'm listening to the live stream today and I'm back at the ground tomorrow for day 3 because I forgot to get my £2 refund on my plastic beer glass yesterday. Thanks very much, gents. And may the better side win before the weather does.
Yes, well, we haven't had a win.
He says the scary one-day cup related to the pitch was all.
Okay, yeah, no, it was just a lively pitch, wasn't it? I thought it was excellent. 109 played 110 for 9. Terrific game of cricket. Here's Potts in and bowls to Dixon, who turns it into the leg side, where it's fielded by Sam Connors. 3 slips and a gully now. 3 slips, a gully and a point. Mark Watt is the man at gully. Excellent. Have you been told you're quiet? Have you twisted? No, he's twisted. He'll be all right again in a minute. Here's Martin Emerson, everybody. You'll have to read that email out again.
Dr. Dan said I sounded like I was off mic, but my little microphone piece is twisted round the wrong way slightly.
Potts bowls, Dixon defends.
And I don't smoke 400 capstan full strength a day, whereas Dave does, so he has that gravelly voice.
I'm not smoking 400 fags a day for a long time.
No. Good week or two, is it?
I reckon 10 years.
Yeah.
I'd have thought. I did smoke quite a lot back then, but
I know somebody who gave up smoking just like that, but then got addicted to chocolate eclairs and put a lot of weight on.
It's Potts. That one is played off the back foot nicely out towards the cover boundary. Anuj Dal is chasing, and Anuj Dal can't quite get there. He put the dive in, but the ball went with him. I think he's okay. I hope he's okay, because he'll be required to bowl at some point. Anuj Dal, it's 4 more to Dixon, 49 without loss.
Anyway, Dr. Dan says he's enjoying the commentary, but please balance the microphones.
What? Like that?
Yeah.
Balance. You could balance yours on the end of your nose. I could balance mine on the top of my head or something like that.
I said big thunderstorms over Derby last night with lots of heavy rain, woken up to a damp and misty morning. Sunburnt in Sunderland says, I was down Dorset for another music festival. What is it with me and tents and weather? He's travelled down. Was it the End of the Road Festival on in Dorset this week?
Don't know. Not Fred's asking me about good areas. I've no idea what they are, Fred. They all We'll talk about them though. This one is bowled by Potts in a decent area, and
Wasn't that
fielded by Anna's Dahl off the bat of Sean Dixon.
who sang Big Area? That was a Scottish band, wasn't it? What were they called again?
Deacon Blue,
Was it them? Or Delamitri or somebody like that?
Big Country.
Yeah, it might be them.
We'll find out shortly as we frantically Google.
Then Jericho.
There we go. Are they Scottish?
I think they
I
are.
thought they were from your neck of the woods.
Are they? No, I don't think so.
Next delivery from Potts is down the leg side and taken by Brooke Guest.
I never saw them in Whitburn Working Men's Club. Where were they from?
We'll find out shortly, everybody.
Yeah.
Gary
London.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
That Scottish band. That's like
Yeah.
Rod
Well, I
Stewart.
tell you what, they
like
did at
Rod
the time.
Stewart.
There was like Delamitri and all these bands around at the time,
Yeah.
wasn't there? And Scotland had a bit of a time of things. And I think then Jericho tried to model themselves on that Scottish sound.
The Bay City Rollers. Potts bowls. That one's cut away for 4 runs. Just a stand and deliver kind of shot from Sean Dixon. He moves on to 20. And Durham's half century's up. 53 for no wicket after 11 overs. And this isn't what Derbyshire were looking for by any stretch of the imagination. It's been a fairly ordinary effort from the bowlers so far. Ben Aitchison, perhaps the exception, with 5 overs for 11. And he's going to continue from the City end, but it's been a very good start by Durham. Gary Charlesworth says that poor one this, but when the 12-man drizzle came out yesterday with his high vis on, was he lemon drizzle? Very good. Drizzle and, as you pointed out last night, Gary, drizzle and rain were on the same pitch yesterday,
Yeah.
even though it didn't rain at all. Only for a short spell. I didn't spot it. I didn't spot drizzle. It can be hard to see.
Start of a new over from the City end. Aitchison continuing here. None for 11 from his first 5. That's a dot ball, bowling to Jones.
Clearly brightening up in Manchester weather inspecting at 12:15. Second division scores. Nottinghamshire are now 79 without loss against Leicestershire in their second innings there. They're leading by 187.
Aitchison again. Jones up on his toes, gets on top of the ball and plays it out shortly offside. No run there. Picked up by Billy Godalman.
Worcestershire 329 for 7 against Glamorgan at Sophia Gardens. Worcestershire chose to bat in that one. And batting quite nicely.
Bowler comes in, left alone outside the off stump. Goes low to the keeper.
Australia getting thrashed by New Zealand in a one-day international in Cairns. Always good to see.
Julia Wetherell's been on. She says her dad, Doug, gave up smoking in February 1957. He will be 90 next week. Aitchison in. That's gone off to mid-wicket. No run there. Doug used to work for the Daily Mail in the North East as a sports reporter and presented the evening sports show on TV in Newcastle as well on the BBC for a while. He was telling me one day when he was a cub reporter on the Sunderland Echo.
Yeah.
In one of the little pit villages like Horden or somewhere like that in Durham. And there was nothing going on. It was the silly season and Aitchison comes in and bowls. It's gone through high to the keeper. And his editor rang one day and said, "What have you got on the list today?" And he said, "I'm struggling." And he said, "Well, go out and find something." So he decided as he was walking the street and there wasn't much going on, he would pop into the corner shop and ask for some black bullets. And the guy said, "Haven't got any." He said, "What do you mean you haven't got any?" He said, "Keep running out, can't get them for love and money." He said, "Hey, why? Everybody can get black bullets." Ooh, a little late edge there from Jones down the road's long leg for one. And they said, well, look, all the pitmen take them down the pit because it's so dry and dusty down there, and the black bullet's the favourite sweet in the pits, and it helps with the saliva and all the rest of it. So he got a page lead, black bullet shortage in Hawley. Probably among many things you can't get hold of these days.
Yeah. 54 without loss.
Well, happy 90th next week, Doug. He remembers watching me granddad play at Whitburn back in the 50s. It's coming up to midday.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
I didn't do anything in the 11 for two reasons. A,
They forgot.
no, they asked me if I could keep it tight. I said, well, we're not playing. There's no rain. It's raining. And they wanted to be live at the start of the Tour of Britain stage from Durham to Sunderland. So I said, look, be my guest.
Yeah. Goes Potts from the racecourse end and is driven first ball by Jones for 4 runs out to the backward point boundary. How many times has he played that shot this morning? He moves on to 38. It's his 8th boundary. What did he get last time? Did you say 206?
Yeah. Oh, I'll go next to
Well, at this rate.
I don't need to go just yet, do I?
At this rate, he'll get to 206 by mid-afternoon. 58 without loss. Derbyshire not looking like a team who can necessarily win their remaining 3 matches to clinch the top 2 place.
How many of those games are against the teams above them or around them?
Only one.
Is that Glamorgan?
Yeah, the last one's here against Leicestershire.
Well, Durham have played Glamorgan twice now. The first game of the season down there were these heavy thunderstorms which just left the pitch covered in hail.
Jones waits and Potts bowls till he turns it into the leg side, fielded by Connors.
And the next match in Chesley Street, Durham were batting, and I thought they've got to declare at the end of day 3 to give themselves enough time to try and bowl the side out, because it's proving more and more difficult to do that these days. Anyway, Glamorgan got some wickets going, and they dismissed Durham, and suddenly it became a game. And Durham were able to bowl Glamorgan out and win. That remains their only win of the season in the championship.
Potts is on his way in again. Down to 3 slips now, bowls, and that one is defended out into the offside. Up towards Billy Godleman at mid-off. And there is no run, because Derbyshire don't play next week. It's the week after that they play Glamorgan down in Cardiff. And we'll be there. Of course we will. News in my ears at the moment. 58 without loss. Durham batting nicely. Potts on his way in. And that strikes the pad. Too high and going down leg side, but at least he got past the bat. And it remains 58 without loss. As I said, there's weather around the country at the moment. They're not playing at Southampton. They didn't play much, but they did play a bit there yesterday. Hampshire got to 273 for 6 against Northamptonshire. They are now playing at Trent Bridge and at Cardiff, at Canterbury, at Taunton. Due to inspect at 12:15 at Old Trafford. 58 without loss here. Sun comes out as Potts bowls, and that's a play and a miss by Jones outside the off stump. Ball goes through to Brooke Guest, the Derbyshire keeper. Doesn't look like they want Martin this time either. He's already put his headphones down, unless it was the top of the news because they've started so well. He's come back to have a look at his laptop. Remarkable. Potts is on his way in again. Bowls to Jones, who leaves alone outside the off stump. He was just checking something on his laptop. And the ball, as I say, goes through to the keeper. That's the end of the over. 3 overs for 17. Young Potts has bowled. And Ben Aitchison to continue. I assume, although we haven't been told, Lunch will remain at 12:30 and tea will still be with 32 hours to go. I can only imagine that to be the case. So Ben Aitchison will be bowling to Sean Dixon. Michael Jones on 38 at the non-strikers end. 3 slips and a gully, and this ball is outside the off stump and allowed to go through to the keeper. There we go. Yeah, delayed start here was we didn't get underway till 11:10, but Durham really have batted nicely since the start. Michael Jones has 38, including 8 fours, and Sean Dixon at the other end is on 20. They're currently 58 without loss in reply to Derbyshire's 306. The Derbyshire bowlers haven't really put the ball where they needed to get the breakthrough that they're striving for. And at the moment, with Durham on 58 without loss, they trail by 248. Sun is out. That ball was outside the off stump and allowed to go through to the keeper. He turns at the top of his mark, Aitchison. In his 7th over, he's only conceded 12 runs, and again, Dixon can do no more than defend this one. Back towards him. And picked up there by Billy Godleman at mid-off already. Styles' right leg's an absolute mess. A bit like my left knee, really, when I slipped over this morning, but Dowell's right leg is just covered in mud. After he chased that ball to the boundary and put the dive in. There is Aitchison again, bowls. That one's left alone. So, bowling options, apart from the 3 who've already bowled, Connors, Aitchison and Potts. Mark Watt with his slow left arm. Manoj Dahl with his medium pace. There's Lewis Rees with his left arm. We haven't seen much of Leicester Ploy bowling this season. Not sure how much he's bowled in the Championship, or even if he's taken a wicket, I'll have to check on that one, as Aitchison is on his way in again, and that one is pushed out to Dahl at backward point by Dixon. And there's no run. 10 out, he's been near the Leicester Ploy. He's got 1 wicket this season. His best figures are 1 for 69. Wayne Madson's got 1 wicket this season. Lewis Rees has only got 8 wickets. Mark Watt in his 2 previous games has picked up 7, including match best figures of 4 for 91. Manoj Dahl has got 27 wickets. As this next delivery from Aitchison is off an edge, but falls well short of Harry Kame in the gully, and it's the end of the over. 58 without loss. 7 overs, 1 maiden, 0 for 12. Ben Aitchison, Nick Potts has his cap and sweater handed to the umpire by Mark Watt. Potts has got 11 wickets, Aitchison 12, but he's each of those are only playing their 4th matches. Sam Connors is the leading wicket taker with 37, but they have come at quite a price. 37 wickets at 40. Potts is now ready. Hayden Kerr with 3 wickets at 27, and Toby Petman with 7 wickets at 20, the top of the Derbyshire bowling averages. That's a short delivery from Potts, and it's swung away for 4 runs to backward square leg by Jones, who moves to 42, excuse me, from just 49 deliveries, and Durham up to 62 without loss. Potts' 11 wickets have come at 27, although he's bowled 3 overs for 21, so that'll be struggling a touch at the moment. That'll be heading north, as they say. Not a good start to the over for the young man from Burton upon Trent, who's in again now on balls, and that one is off an inside edge down to fine leg. So better delivery. Fielded down there in the distance by, looks like Harry Kame's found himself down there at long leg. He has indeed. So from gully, it's long leg, and Lewis Rees warms up. at mid-on. Perhaps see him from the City end after Ben Aitchison's 7-over opening spell. Still feels like a bowling day. Lots of cloud about, sun shining, and this one is defended by Dixon. Up towards Lewis Rees, who has a little look at the ball. If anybody can swing it, I often say it, if anybody can swing the ball, it'll be Lewis Rees. Let's hope that he does. I'm not sure how big a turner of the ball Mark Watt is. Canny bowler, but not a huge turner of the ball. Potts all the way back to the advertising mat before he turns, and now he sets off on his way in. Bowls to Sean Dixon, who plays that one straight into the ground and behind him. Fielded by Watt. Madsen with his hands on his head. Perhaps thought that that one might have, on another day, gone into the stumps, but didn't do. Martin was talking about the roof of the health club. There's a similar roof on the hotel, on which a couple of crows have made their way. Potts is in balls to do. Oh, that's going to be a wide. It is a wide.
It's a Paul Coghlan wide.
Yes, Coghlan bowled 2 in 1 over. Fell over on each occasion. In fact, he only bowled a 1 over spell when he bowled those 2 wides. Straight away, scratching away at the footmarks, Nick Potts. That was a very wide delivery. Dixon, well, I was going to say it had nothing to do with it. I don't think he could have reached it. Even if he'd had a bat twice the length of the one that he's using. He's ready now. He waits for Potts to bowl this penultimate ball of his 4th over. He's in, that one's too straight, and it's clipped away down to long leg for a single. Kane does the fielding. Dixon moves to 21.65 without loss. Rees continues to warm up. Right up until the moment that Mark Watt shouted his name because he'd thrown the ball to him. At which point he abandoned his warm-ups and self-preservation, decided he'd better catch the ball. I think we'll see him at the City end next. Jones, 9 boundaries so far, leaves this one outside the off stump alone to go through to Brooke Guest. He remains on 43. Dixon has 21. Durham 65 without loss after 15 overs. They're pleased with this in the One Day Cup.
Yeah.
He's taken his. No, he isn't going to take his. Take a rest here. Ben Aitchison is going to bowl an 8th over. So they bowled around about 14 overs in the first hour, which is about half of the course for Derbyshire.
Richard says, hello to the twin terrors of cricket broadcasting.
Yeah.
Bit worried when I turned in to hear Potts bowling for Derbyshire. This one's left alone outside the off stump from Aitchison. He said, not an Alex Neil move, I hope.
Come to a big club.
Still 4 in the slip cordon. Aitchison in. Dixon plays the ball down into the ground and loops back into the bowler's left hand.
Rees continues to warm up. Can't be long before we see him. Who wouldn't have thought?
Aitchison turns in past the umpire and bowls a bit of a leading edge there, possibly the toe of the bat back to the bowler. Just trying to see who I recognise in the crowd there.
Anybody?
There's a little posse of Durham spectators in the temporary newsstand, or what do you call it?
The permanent temporary stand.
Permanent
It's
temporary
quite
stand.
easy.
Yeah.
Alphabetical.
Yeah. Sprinkling of Durham spectators in there. There'll be a few in the little covered stand as well, probably. .65 without loss. Dixon is on 21 from 43 balls. Jones at the other end, 43 from 51. And we have had so far 15.4 overs. Drop the player right out into deep square leg here. Aitchison in. It's wide of off stump. It's left well alone by Dixon.
Not sure why he's there, because he isn't of the pace to bowl short, really, for me, Ben Aitchison. He may look quicker than he is. I'm sure our family members saying he is a quick bowler. When he drops it short, he tends to get punished.
Last ball of the over. Looked like it was going down leg side. It stood it into the pad. And that is the end of the over. 65 for none. Notts 89 for 1, leading by 197. Ben Slater's gone for 39.
Ed Barnes, formerly of this parish, with the wicket.
So many players gone from here to there?
To Leicestershire. Well, he was only on loan from Yorkshire. Colin Parkinson had a spell on loan here and then went to Leicestershire. They all wanted to go to bigger clubs, but they forgot where Leicestershire rank. Derbyshire wanted to sign Colin Parkinson. Fairly sure there was an agreement in place, but he went up to Leicestershire. He now captains in red ball cricket. Good player.
Started off at Lancashire's academy, didn't he, originally, I think?
Yeah.
With his brother.
With his twin. He's a better bowler than his brother. And he can hold a bat, which his brother can't.
His brother's good with barbecues.
Yeah, he was good at carrying drinks. England have destroyed him, haven't they? Taken him abroad on a number of occasions and never used him. Always good for a young bowler. That is Lewis Rees for the first time. Left arm over the wicket, bowls to Jones wide of the off stump, and it goes through to the keeper.
Apparently the day where he was called up by England as the concussion substitute for Leach, he just lit the barbecue and was meant to be having an afternoon barbecue with the Lancashire players around at his house.
Serves him right, really.
Hope you remember to take the meat off.
Drop it on the floor, make sure it's nice and gritty. Bless him. Most of us in the Bolton area have got cookers now, so we don't need to cook on fire anymore. This one's, good delivery, good leave by Jones. A swinging delivery.
Can you afford to turn your cooker on?
Oh, yeah, I'm loaded.
I bought an air fryer recently, and they're apparently very good.
Yeah, they are.
From an economic
What can
point
you do?
of view.
What can you do? I'm fascinated by air fryers. You can cook anything in them, can't you?
Yeah, it's great.
Is it good?
Oh, I love it.
I mean, put the vegetables to one side, because clearly I'm not going to do anything vegetable based.
No.
But can you cook pizzas in them?
Well, yeah, because it's got a grill in the lid.
Well, there you go. Yeah. I'll do, wouldn't it?
I don't know about doner kebab.
Next delivery is beating the edge of Jones's bat. Another good delivery from Lewis Rees.
The two things I like doing in there is chicken. You can do a whole chicken and it's great. Do chicken in about an hour and it gets it all crispy. But if you do a steak, you put a little bit of water in the bottom and you put the steak on a rack up near the top where the grill is. Yeah. And then you turn it on and it heats the water up and it starts to air fry with the water, but it also grills the outside of the steak.
Do you have to turn it over?
Yeah, halfway through.
Yeah. Rees in again, bowls outside the off stump, left alone by Jones.
So what you get is, with the grilling element of it, you get a lovely crispy surface to the steak, but it also plumps up with all the steam and the moisture from the air frying bit.
Starving now, aren't you?
And inside the steak, it's lovely and juicy.
Red.
Yeah. It depends how long you want it on for, but I mean, beautiful. So you've got a nice crispy edge to the steak on the outside and lovely and juicy in the middle.
Like it. Might get one. In comes Reese again and bowls. That one is off an inside edge, out towards square leg. They've gone for one. They'll come back for a second as well. They'll take on Harry Kame's arm, and they get back for the second run. Jones moves to 45, 67 without loss.
Do lots of stuff in it. Soups, curries, stews.
Yeah.
It's got about 15 different things. Pressure cooker, air fryer, steamer. You can do yogurt in it as well. But I think it's easy just to go to the fridge and get one out of there.
I don't eat yogurt.
No.
But no, I don't eat most things. Anything that's alive, really. Reese bowls, and that one is one that doesn't swing. Go straight through to the keeper. We're going to see Anuj Dal for the first time. Reese's first over, costing 2 runs. Durham 67 without loss after 17 overs. Yeah, I'm tempted by an air fryer.
Well, I looked into them when I went to...
I knew you would have done.
Yeah, and I went to a local electronics giant store. And they had lots of different ones on display.
Yeah.
The one I wanted, I had some vouchers, some like high street vouchers, which were present, I think, so up to about 100 quid's worth of them. I had 50 quid left on an old credit card that had been refunded to me because of an event I couldn't go to because of COVID.
Yeah.
And I looked online and found the very item they were selling there for 220 quid. I think I found it online for about 190, 180, something like that. So they price matched it. So I got quite a deal.
Yeah.
My wife thinks it's just another gadget we don't need.
Okay.
Change of bowler here, and the first delivery pops a little bit on Dixon and swings away from Anuj Dal as he brings this in. And goes through to the keeper. Bit of medium pace. So it's definitely worth it.
Yeah.
And what I did, which you don't need to do, is I ordered a cookbook online for this particular brand of machine, and which has about 140 different recipes in it, something like that. In fact, more than that. Hundreds of them. Unless ball stays low and goes through the keeper. So you would probably maybe use 2 of them.
Do you do toast?
You could do toast in it, yeah. The other thing is the rack. You can have the rack high, so it's up near the grill if you want to use the grill element in the lid, or you turn the rack over and you can put meat on it and do it in a different manner. It's very good for things like crispy potatoes and wedges and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, don't like them.
Pulled from a shortish length, wide of off stump, out through deep mid wicket for 2 by Sean Dixon.
Are we assuming that lunch is at the same time?
Oh, I don't know. Are you too hungry now?
No. I've just been asked the question by a man very high up the BBC.
Oh.
Well, Kevin Hells.
Yeah. Not the Director General.
No.
It's down. Dal's taken 27 wickets this season. Best figures 5 for 40 against Worcestershire. He bowls here at the back of the hand. That's left. It's wide of off stump. I'll go and ask. Shall I go and ask?
Yeah, okay. Martin's gone to ask. I've just left him hanging there with a... I think the verdict is 12:30. So there we go. He didn't miss anything either.
No.
Brilliant.
Dal comes in, bowls. Dixon plays the ball 2.0 run. Yeah, 12:30 apparently. So they've only lost 2 overs today, which I find astonishing.
Well, they've got half an hour, haven't they?
Yeah,
leeway.
so they'll claim half an hour back at the end of the day if the light holds, plus they can claim 6 overs tomorrow.
Well, they've only claimed 2 overs because they've only lost 2.
No, but you
We can't add 4 overs to the game.
No, because they're...
What?
No, because they're going to have extra overs tomorrow as well. That was my point.
Well, only 2, though. They've only lost 2 overs. If they bowl 9...
Yes, because tomorrow there'll be 6 extra overs.
No, there'll be 2. Because we've only lost 2 overs. I mean, if they go off again, we'll get...
I was told we've lost 2 overs because they will claim 6 extra overs back tomorrow. That's what I was told. Because you can claim up to 8 overs, can't you?
Well, you can, but if we bowl 94 overs today, they'll only have lost 2 overs. Not 8. Will they? Come on, Martin. It's basic
But I know, I
maths.
don't think that's the plan, though. I don't think that was the plan today.
Well, what is the plan?
The plan was to bowl an extra 6 overs tomorrow, having lost 2 overs today.
No, because we're bowling 94 overs today and we were only supposed to bowl 96. Here's Lewis Rees in to begin a new over, turning to the leg side for a single. Jones moves on to 45, 70 without loss. If we bowl 94 overs today, they can't add 6 on tomorrow.
So you were told to bowling 94 today?
Yes.
Right, because I was told different. So
That's what was announced.
I didn't hear that announcement.
Well, you must have done because you heard that we lost 2 overs.
Yeah,
Who
because
told you that?
I went to ask. What I thought.
Well, we've lost 2 overs. We haven't lost 8. We've lost 2. That's how I understood it.
Right.
Here's Rees. I have no idea what's going on. It'll rain anyway, and we'll end up adding 8 overs on tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that one goes through to the keeper. I couldn't work out why we'd only lost 2 overs.
No, that's what I couldn't work out either.
Because we lost 40 minutes, effectively. Presumably, they can add half an hour on today, which means that we only lost 10 minutes and therefore lost 2 overs. Goodness knows.
It's a really great over again now.
Yeah, well, that's what we're not going to get through this day unscathed, are we? Rees is in and bowls wide of the off stump, left alone by Dixon.
I would add that we haven't because we've lost 2 overs.
Or 8.
Oh, look.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, that's
geese.
nice. Yeah. Big V formation of geese flying down the side of the ground. Now that is that the start of the season?
I'm not sure if they're last year's geese or next year's geese. That's the only problem. I can't work it out.
They don't look like 100 geese.
They never come over in August, though.
No,
'cause
they're not.
No, they're not allowed to.
All
You
right.
can't go anywhere near a cricket ground in August, even the geese. It's a good job the covers weren't on. They'd all be landing on that.
Yeah.
Rees is in again and bowls. That one's on the leg stump and turned away down fine towards fine leg. Harry Kane goes around to do the fielding and Dixon will just pick up a single. Moves to 24, 73 without loss.
Passed a farm last week on the canal, which used to be an airbase during the Second World War near a village called Nosal, so probably about 10 miles north of Wolverhampton. And reading the guidebook on that stretch of the canal, they had a squadron of Oxford planes based there, and then midway through the war, an American squadron arrived. And one day, the story has it that...
Oh, don't leave us hanging like that. Here's Rees in and bowls to Jones. We're all fascinated. That one comes off an inside edge and it's going to be fielded by Nick Potts. And Jones will pick up a single to move to 47, 74 without loss.
One day, it must have been down to the light, an American pilot was coming in and mistook the canal for the runway
Oh.
and landed his plane in the canal.
Yeah. That's not good, is it?
No, not at all.
When he got very close to it, did he not realise how narrow it was?
I think by then he was probably unluckily too late to pull out. Now that sounds like a silly story.
No, it does, but it's got a serious element to it, isn't it? I don't know why I was laughing. I apologise for that.
I think the crew were okay. I thought they were.
Rees bowls. That one is cut off the back foot out towards the cover boundary. Once again, Anuj Dal gives chase. He hauls the ball in just before it reaches the rope. He prevents one run from being scored because the batsmen go through for 3 as Elias Deploy returns the ball. Dixon moves to 27 and Durham up to 77 without loss. Yeah, sorry,
Mary, who watched Durham for years, who was a lovely lady who sadly passed away last year, she used to be an air hostess for one of the African airlines. And she was telling me once, and I didn't believe her, so she brought a photograph in to prove it. She was on a passenger plane where the pilot landed in the White Nile and mistook the river for the runway.
Because it was so white.
Yeah.
Rees bowls. Oh, that's a good leave by Jones. It goes through to Brooke Guest behind the stumps end of the over. There were plenty of runs off that one. In fact, I missed the no ball. There was a no ball in there as well. 77 without loss. Andy Smith asks on Twitter, how come we can play this county game with all the rain we've had and the Kent 50 over game was abandoned? It's excuse me, it's a terrific question. I think that the rain that fell to abandon the Kent game came after that really dry spell, and it just didn't go anywhere, whereas it's now had a chance to, that rain has now had a chance to soak away, so the ground is slightly more amenable to a drop of rain.
Yeah, that was the thing. All the ground was so rock hard.
I've just messed up my. I've got new car.
All of the ground was so hard that any heavy rain would just sit on top and not melt away, which was what they were telling us in the BBC weather bulletins at the time. Here's a Dahl bowling to Dixon. This has gone off towards deep square leg for 1 run. The outfield at Grantham 2 or 3 weekends ago on a Sunday, it just looked like the surface of Mars. It was so scorched and it was rock hard. I've had a bit of rain, certainly in the Midlands in recent weeks, not so much in the northeast still. The garden is looking a little bit greener than it was a few weeks ago. Dahl bowls this one to Jones. It's left outside the off stump, and I think there is a bit of water in the water butt now, and it certainly was dry a few weeks ago.
Thank goodness for that.
But yeah, that photograph that Dave Griffin did with the drone here a few weeks back, and it was just parched, wasn't it? And now you'd think it was a different year. It's green. Outfield's green. It looks like the sort of outfield you should have at this time of year, doesn't it?
Chris has been brilliant.
Ball pill. Oh, now then. Jones sets off for a single, and he's sent back, scrambling back by Dixon, because the ball only went out towards short mid-wicket towards Brooke Guest. So
he's come up with a solution tomorrow.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Have you seen it? And
yeah.
It's right, isn't it?
Yeah.
19.2 and 74.4 means 94 overs today.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris. It's a fairly obvious one.
Yeah, but what I thought I was told when I inquired with the scorer was that because of time constraints today, they would lose 2 overs today.
Yeah, which they will.
But they would be able to add in extra time tomorrow to gain 6 extra overs tomorrow.
No.
So I obviously misheard.
Yeah.
So.
And it'll rain anyway. We'll get 8 extra overs tomorrow, which they won't get in because it'll rain. And then it'll rain on Thursday when they'll go home. I'd imagine.
Have you ever thought of going into sales?
I'm not here to sell the game.
Darling. Well, it stays low on Jones, but he manages to get a bit of the bat on it and plays it up to mid-on.
It's good with the last over.
Oh, it's a lunch, isn't it?
Well, if indeed, yeah. Just checking that. Michael Jones has
all about that.
just checked with. Well, the only reason I know it's lunch is because I just checked with the studio after being summoned early, which I'd missed my early slot, and they said, "Well, you'll be back at 1 o'clock then."
Why were you summoned early?
Obviously, the guest they had. It was a natural break, I think.
Dahl balls played away by Jones towards deep square leg for 1. Dixon's jogged past the stumps and seems to be on his way to the dressing room, and everybody else is as well. So not a bad, what was that, hour and 20 minutes from a Durham point of view. They've ended up with 79 on the board without loss. Jones 48, Dixon 28, and they've had 20 overs.
Yes, not good from Derbyshire. In the morning session, they will regroup while they're eating their lasagna or whatever it is sportsmen eat. And we'll do the same here with Jones on 48, Dixon on 28, and Durham on 79 without loss, trailing still by 227, but looking good.
The players take a 40-minute lunch interval.